Hello my dear students, Namaskar. I welcome you all to the new lecture series on metal cutting or metal machining process. Myself Dr. V.K. Patel, PhD IIT Kanpur and MTech from IIT Roorkee. So these are the contents as you can see. Now come to the basics of manufacturing process. That means what is the definition of manufacturing process? So the manufacturing is made from the two Latin terms, that is the manus and factus. Manus means hand and factus means make. So shaping with the use of hand or made by hand. The manufacturing involves the application of physical or chemical process through which the geometry, properties or appearance of the raw material are altered to get a final finished product. So the manufacturing means with the application of some process we obtain a certain product of certain properties, certain shape and size and certain appearances as demanded by the society, industry, etc. As from this definition can be more clearly understood by the figure here, as you can see from this figure that a raw material is here, suppose that surface is rough one, and finally we desire a product having two holes and a finished surface. So naturally we have to remove the extra material from the surface to maintain a good surface finish and further to remove the material so that a cylindrical hole can be created. Now what are the desired here? As you can see that their labor is required. So here manus is replaced by the labor and making process is done with the help of tooling arrangement, and when there is a tools, the tools will be powered by machinery, and we can say that machine tools, machinery or machine tools. So there is always some energy required and that is power. Tools is required to create the certain hole just here in this example, or finishing purpose or any other point of view. So these are certain elements that comprise together and make the manufacturing process. So now here you can see that this object is shortened having two holes, and naturally whenever you machine a surface there will be a scrap or wastage. But beside machining, the manufacturing also categorized into the other terms. So when we come to the category, first putting material together, that we can say this is a additive process. Just like in the welding process, what we do, you take two different materials and join together. This is the process. Example is welding. There is also another process, additive manufacturing. Some way that basically we add one material together to make a complete part. So this is the process where the material are added. So this is a additive process, we can say. So next one is the subtractive process will be there, where you remove the material, just like in the example you see here that the two holes are created. Now two holes are created, how? The excess material are at the desired location where you want to create the hole, that is removed. So that is the subtractive process. So it can be said that this is the positive and this is negative sign. And third category is that neither the material is added nor it is subtracted. In this process there is a flow of material. Material is passing from one form to another, just like a forming process. So here flow of material is another process, flow of material. This flow of material can be either in the solid state, just like material forming, or it may be in the liquid state, just like in the casting process. So there is a material flow. So we can say this is a zero process, no addition, no subtraction. come to the next, that is the machining process. Because we are here to understand the machining process, so we need to further classify the machining process or metal removal process or metal cutting process. Now when we talk about the machining, there is conventional machining and another is the unconventional machining. However, here I have classified these processes into three different categories depending on the shape and size of the chip formation. You can see here that in conventional machining or cutting, just like machining on the lathe machine, turning process, milling process, in that process there is a microscopic chips. Considering this category of the chip, here is the macroscopic, in this case microscopic, here the chip size is microscopic, and here the size even becomes much smaller than microscopic region, below microscopic, and it can even further down size to atomic level or nanoscale level. As you go on removing the finer size, as smaller and smaller size, the finish will be much better and better. So here the finish range, here the improvement of the finishing is downward. That means this process will have greatest finishing than this one, and this one have the smallest finish size. So you can see here that in this process the chip ranges from 0.025 millimeter to 2.5 millimeter. It is now in the case of abrasive process means here we use the abrasive tool materials, alumina, silica, abrasive grains, as in the process of grinding machine, lapping, honing, etc., that utilize multiple tools. Here the single tools are used, single tool just like single point cutting tool as a lathe machine, drilling bit. Both process, even we can say that the mechanical process, or we can say that conventional process. But if we talk about the in the broad terms, there are two terms. One is the conventional process and another is the non-conventional process. Conventional process means where a tool of higher hardness is utilized for removing the material. But what happens if suppose that your workpiece is of high hardness? It becomes more difficult to choose a particular tool material for machining process. And even if you are going to machine at a very high velocity, the temperature will be generated, tool materials red hardness come into the picture. As the temperature increase, the hardness will decrease. The temperature during machining will increase with the speed of the machining, and so the capability of tool becomes lower, and hence a different process, that is the non-traditional process, was applicable in that cases where there is no direct contact with the tool to the workpiece material. Here different types of energy are used. Suppose that we are using chemical energy process, we want to etch the surface, so that is the etching process here. Some types of other energy are used, suppose thermal energy are used. We utilize the high temperature to melt and vaporize the material and create the certain shape and size, just like plasma arc machining process, electron beam machining process, etc. If we are using electrochemical process, then ECM process will come into the picture. So naturally in the case here there are different types of energy come into the picture that are basically independent of the workpiece hardness. When we switch from the bulk product to the micro products or even the nano product, then the machining of that product requires a very high precision machining process. So these processes come into the category of precision machining process. As the machining process is one of the important process in the manufacturing category. Machining means that you are removing some extra material, and by that removal you are creating a certain shape, size, surface finish. So we can define the machining process is that process, that method of manufacturing through which desired shape, size, surface finish are obtained by the removal of the excess material, undesired material, unnecessary material from the raw workpiece in the forms of small chips. And as we see that the chips may be small, smaller and smallest, all will come into the single category of the machining process. This machining is done by the help of cutting tool. So cutting tool is the element which basically removes the material, undesired material, excess material. So cutting tool is that element which removes the excess material through a direct mechanical contact with the workpiece. If we are using a cutting tool, there must be a relative velocity, there must be some force or energy involved in this tool. So that energy, that relative motions will be provided by a machine. So that is called machine tool. So machine tool is that one, that machine which basically impart the relative motion between the work and tool, which will impart the energy, impart the power to the cutting tool, so that there is a relative motion between the tool and workpiece, and that when the relative motion is given, tool will generate the required job of given shape, size and surface finish. Let's go to the next slide. How the shape and size are generated. There are two motion that create the shape. One is the cutting motion and another is the feed motion. When combined together, they create a certain geometry, and you can see that as this feed and cutting motion are linear, the surface is generated of the plane surface. So what is the primary motion? The relative motion which is responsible for the cutting is known as cutting motion, and that motion which is responsible for the feeding towards the uncut portion, that is called feed motion. And depending on this motion, cutting motion, the line generated by this cutting motion is known as generatrix, and the feed motion is known as directrix. So the line generated by the cutting is generatrix. So if the both line are linear, the plane surface is generated just in like shaper machining process. When you shape of rectangular surface, you desired to create a rectangular surface, you need to apply the motion in normal directions and in linear direction. Here the generatrix in the circular line generated by the cutting motion, and directrix given in the axial feed. So axial feed and this generatrix circular motion, that both when combined together will generate the cylindrical surface, just like in turning operation. So when we talk about the machining process, microscopic process, there are two different categories of machining, that is the orthogonal machining and oblique machining process. In orthogonal machining process, this is a tool, and here the edge of the cutting tool is this is the cutting tool edge. When this cutting tool edge is straight, the relative velocity, suppose here is v. At any instant of time, we take that the workpiece is moving with respect to tool at a v velocity in this direction. If this direction of velocity, relative velocity between the tool and workpiece is normal to this cutting edge, then what happens? The motion of chip particles as well as the motion of these workpiece particles move in a parallel plane. Why? Because there are only two forces involved that lie in the 2D plane. There is no third component of third force in the normal to this plane, 2D plane, that is the screen. So that is the reason why all particles of this chip and workpiece move in the parallel plane, and in that way we can represent by a 2D drawing, and that will facilitate us to easily analyze the forces. This is your finished surface. Workpiece is finished here by machining process, and this is the workpiece process, and the chip is here, the chip is formulated. This is the chip, and you can see that chip is flowing in contact to this surface of the tool. This surface is known as the rake surface. The inclination of this rake surface with the normal line to the finished surface is known as the rake angle. Now again come to here the oblique machining process. In oblique machining process, you can see that the angle between the relative velocity here between the workpiece and the tool and the cutting edge is other than 90 degrees, and that is why what happens, there will be a third component of the force that will be normal to the this plane, this screen, and what happens, because of that the chip particles and workpiece particles will not remain in parallel plane, and so it is not possible to represent into 2D presentation. It is complex process because there are three forces in this oblique machining process. Come to the elements of orthogonal machining process. I have discussed you that the chip is flowing, making contact with the rake surface. Here the relative velocity between the tool and workpiece is mentioned v. This is the chip velocity v chip. And there are two terminology, that is the T1. T1 is the uncut thickness, or we can say this is the thickness of chip when workpiece is undeformed, and this is the deformed chip thickness. This much of the thickness is going to be machined further by the tool. So this is known as uncut thickness, and we here we mention this one is the thickness of the chip. T2 is the thickness of the chip. Now this is the reference line, that is the normal to the finished surface, and inclination of the rake surface with this normal to the finished surface is known as rake angle. This one is the rake angle. This inclination is known as rake angle. This is of prime importance in the machining process. Why? Because if this rake angle is positive and greater, the machining becomes more easier, more smoother. This is the first point. Second point, as the rake angle increase, the cutting force decrease, and when the cutting force is decreased, the power consumption is decreased. So that is why this is important in the orthogonal machining process. So this is the rake angle. Now this rake angle can be positive, as in this case. If we see that this is the first quadrant and this is the second quadrant, when this angle lie in the first quadrant, this is positive rake angle, and here you can see that the rake surface making an angle in the second quadrant. You can see, if you observe, then this is known as negative rake angle. Now here in this case the power requirement will be increased, because you know that the cutting force will increase. But there that here in case of negative rake angle, total the volumetric material, that in this case negative rake angle tool material will be higher than this one. This will be stronger one. This will be stronger, and here this one will be the weaker to this one. So what happen, if we are going to machine with the high hardness material, just like suppose we are using carbide tools, some carbide tools, cast alloy, which are not more ductile one, more tougher one. In that cases, what happens, if we maintain a positive rake angle, because of the jerk and thrust, that may go to fracture, and that is why we need to select a negative rake angle in case of if we are machining some harder material with the more harder tool, then the angle is kept negative one. We have to machine the mild steel with the high speed steel tool. Then what happens, because the mild steel is ductile one, most ductile one, in that case you can maintain a positive rake angle for easy machining, because the machinability of mild steel is much greater than the harder material. Then we can maintain this angle, but still we cannot increase this alpha to a higher limit. We cannot go to a higher limit. It is maintained within 15 degree generally. Suppose we want to increase the rake angle, we have to, suppose we have taken extra, we have removed this special, this material to, we have finished. Now the alpha angle is increased. What happens, this tool now becomes more weaker, and there may be the chances that the tool life will decrease. And further what happens, the tool may at any time with the due to the jerk or thrust, it may get fractured. That is why this alpha angle is kept within a limit of 15 degree. In case if you are going to machine the mild steel with the high speed steel tool. There is another terminology, that is the clearance angle. This is the clearance angle, and this clearance angle means the purpose of this clearance angle to clear the finished surface. Now this is the finished surface that is obtained during the machining process. If we do not provide this clearance angle, what happen, this tool surface will rub together with the finished surface, and that will restrict the flow of this finished surface. Naturally we need to provide a certain clearance angle so that there must not be any restriction. So this is the clearance angle, and that angle is about 5 to 6 degree, that is kept not too high, because if we also increasing this clearance angle, that it will eat some volumetric material from the tool, and this will again weaken this tool. Now this is the positive rake angle case, this is negative rake angle case. There may be another case, that means the zero rake angle. Zero rake angle, how it will be, if suppose that this surface, rake surface, remains parallel to this normal, then this angle becomes 0, then zero rake angle. When this normal plane, reference line and the rake surface coincide together, there will be the zero rake angle. So normally the negative and zero rake angle are provided if we are machining a harder material or brittle material with a much harder tools, just like carbide tools, etc. And this positive rake is imparted if you are machining a softer material, softer grade material with certain high speed tools, high speed steel tools. Now come to the mechanism of chip formation, because we see here in the previous slide that from uncut thickness T1 of the workpiece, a chip of T2 thickness is created. That means here from undeformed zone, a deformed chip is formulated. There are two thoughts. One thought is that this transition from undeformed is, suppose this is linear one, and another is that this deformation is happening after transition through a zone having a fan shape. So now come to the first approximation. What happen if the transition is happening by crossing a linear zone, that is the linear line, this line. This is the primary shear zone, and this is the secondary shear zone. The major deformation, the shearing happens in this primary region. The material is deformed due to the shear operation. This is called primary shear zone because this is the responsible for creation of the chip. So now what happen if this is not a fan shaped, just like this one, this is a linear. So now what happens, before this line, if it is linear, before this line the workpiece velocity is how much? This is v, let us it is v, and finally after crossing this barrier, this line, it is converting into the chip velocity, that is the Vc. C means chip. So now there is a sudden transition from V to Vc after crossing this linear plane, linear shear zone. This is not possible because it can't convert it instantly from V to Vc. It only can happen if the acceleration is infinitive, which is not possible practically. So that is why this approximation does not really justify the principle of nature. So what may be? This is the region, there is a region, fan shaped region, where what happened, where the major plastic deformation occurs, major shearing occur, and that the velocity v transit after passing through this line and approaching to this line. So there is a certain time gap, and that justify the natural law, that means B converted into VCA after getting a certain time. So this is the fan shaped model where the primary shear zone, there is a major shearing occur in the primary shear zone, and what happens after conversion into the chip will flow, and the chip is flowing in the contact with this surface, this is the rake surface. So chip remains in contact to a certain length. Suppose that here this is the length where the chip remains in contact with the rake surface. This length is called chip tool contact length, and further what happen, it is separating here. So now this is the chip velocity. So this is the chip, you see. So this, when the chip flow in the contact with the rake surface, just like here, it flow and even it adhere to the surface. There is sticking also, while flowing it sticks with it adhere to the rake surface, and due to this adherence, due to this sticking, there is a minor deformation of the chip. So this minor deformation of the chip is known as secondary shear zone. This is minor deformation. Why? Because of the sticking of this chip with the tool rake surface while flowing, and this minor deformation is known as the sticking zone or secondary shear zone. So here this sticking will be more if the temperature is very high, if the friction is very high, this will be more and more. So here the chip is flowing. So this is the mechanism how the undeformed workpiece material is converted into the deformed chip. There is certain practical way that you can calculate the chip thickness. Now one point I also want to mention you that this is the first approximation where suppose this is a thin plane, there is a transition from this thin plane undeformed to deformed chip thickness, chip material. So if this is the approximation, while calculation we cannot take this fan shaped, because due to this fan shaped the complex nature going on during this transition from deformed to undeformed, the calculation becomes more tougher, and that is why what we do, that we assume that in the normal condition of the machining, when the machining is done with a small feed, small uncut thickness, this will be more concise one, and in that cases we can assume as a thin plane. This is the thin plane we can assume for the calculation purpose. We approximate as a thin plane this fan shaped, and when we assume this thin plane, then the inclination of this thin plane with the finished surface, when we extend this finished surface, the inclination of this shear plane, that is assumed now here as a thin plane with this finished surface, is known as shear angle phi. This is called shear angle. This chip may be in the curly shape. Suppose that this is the curly shape chip is going on, and this is a length, certain length of this chip is obtained. This is called continuous chip. The disposal of this chip may becomes a troublesome. When we take this continuous chip, certain chip breaking mechanism is developed so that it break after a certain time. It may be created by creating a certain groove. Suppose that here in the tool surface we have created certain groove here. Passing at this groove, it will turn because it will not stick here and it will separate. There is certain chip breaker also that will break the chip. So the chip disposal problems may arise due to the continuous nature of the chip, and this continuous nature, where it will happen? It will happen in the ductile material. The material is more ductile one, length of this chip will be more and more machinable material, then there is also formation of the continuous chip. Now there is another, if the ductile material is there, but what happens if we take the feed? Suppose that the feed given is higher, and a speed, suppose that here in this case the continuous chip will formulate at high rake angle. This continuous chip is formulated at high rake angle. Suppose in this case same ductile material is there, but what we have done, the parameter taken is that we have taken now medium speed. Medium speed means the V speed of V, the relative speed. Here high rake angle, high speed, here medium speed, medium rake angle. Suppose in this case also feed is greater than this case, the friction between the chip and the tool is higher, the friction is greater. What happens? There is adhesion, more adhesion. There will be more adhesion of the chip formulated with the tool. There will be more deformation further. Secondary deformation, whatever I have discussed in this case, the secondary zone deformation will be more here. Now what happened further? What is the condition of this built up edge formulation? If the temperature generated at the surface between the tool and the chip is below the recrystallization temperature, suppose TRC is the recrystallization temperature, if this temperature, the interfacial temperature is below, suppose this temperature we mention T, chip and tool. If temperature between the chip and tool is less than TRC, recrystallization temperature, then strain hardening phenomena will develop. In contact with the tool, there will be a localized zone of the material. This material zone, secondary shear zone, is created because of the contact with the tool. So the material just adjacent and in contact with the tool will deform more and more than the other zone of material. That means here there will be more deformation, and because of the more straining or more deformation, there will be more strain hardening of this material. That means here, because there is more straining, more strain hardening will be there. Hardness of this zone will be more and more. The hardness of this zone, secondary zone, will be more than rest of the chip. And what happened? Because here the hardness is more than here, material will pile together here and a zone will created of higher hardness, and this is the piled up material is called built up edge formation. And because of the higher hardness of this than the rest of the chip material, chip separates not from this interface, but the chip will separate from this zone, and this much of the material, this will remain in contact with the tool. Now tool size is transformed because this is permanently stick together with the tools. So what happens, the chip is being scissored from this line. Why? Because this zone being more harder due to the greater strain hardening than this zone, the naturally the material will fractured or scissored from the zone where low energy will be required, and that is why the scissoring occur from this zone. This built up edge is formulated, and this will formulate when the temperature will remain less than recrystallization temperature. What happens if the temperature of the interfacial zone is greater than recrystallization temperature? Then the strain hardening that is being developed is compensated by the softening at higher temperature, because above the recrystallization temperature new crystal will form. So recrystallization will compensate or even nullify the effect of strain hardening at the interfacial zone. So at high speeds, here you can see that at high speeds the continuous chip are formed, because it is assumed that at much high speeds the temperature generation at the interface is greater than the TRC, recrystallization temperature. Here it remain under the TRC, and so the built up edge is formulated. Now what happened further? Due to this built up edge formulation, you see that the rake angle is now increased because the tool shape is changed here, and the rake angle increase now. So if this rake angle is stable, then what it will affect? Due to the high rake angle, the force as well as the power consumption will be reduced. If it is not stable, that means whatever the built up edge is formulated, that may be broken by the flowing material, because here the chip are flowing upward in the form of chip. If the resistant of the chip flowing material is such that it separates this partially or fully some part of the built up edge, piled up edge, then that because of the high hardness, if it is under contact with the chip and tool, it will create lower tool life, because due to the abrasion wear there will be some material decay from the tool. Even this particulates of built up edge will deteriorate the surface finish of this workpiece. So the surface finish will decrease due to the presence of these particles of the built up edge. So if it is not stable, we can say that the calculation of tool life or surface finish is erratic one. If suppose that we are going to machine a cast iron, then this built up edge will help, because the material is in contact with this built up edge, not in the contact with the tool at this location. So naturally tool life will increase in case of cast iron. But suppose what happened if we are using carbide tool material, then while disengagement there will be some jerk and thrust that may appear, and what happens, Due to that jerking process or thrust process, the built up edge suddenly leave the surface of this tool material, that means carbide tool, and while separating this built up edge, it will remove certain material from the tool, and so we can say that the tool life will decrease. Another case, suppose that we are machining the steel by the carbide tool. The coefficient of thermal expansion of the steel is basically twice as the coefficient of thermal expansion of the carbide tool. So now what happens when machining is complete? Now in that case, due to the high coefficient of thermal expansion of the steel, there will be more contraction in the built up edge, because the built up edge is the same as the material of the workpiece. And so what happen, while contraction, there will be a disappropriate distribution of the stresses, and it will fracture at the surface, and while fracturing it will eat up some material from the tool, and so we can say that the tool life again will decrease. So that means sometimes this built up edge may be favorable condition, and in some times it may be unfavorable condition, depending on the combination of tool and the workpiece. If we increase the rake angle, it will reduce friction between the chip and tool surface, and due to the lesser friction, smoothness at the surface, the sticking phenomena will be lesser one. So here, because the rake angle is medium, not high, feed is low or medium, we can say also here low or medium rake angle, you can take this one also another case. Feed is greater, because if there is a greater feed, the variation of thickness will be more and more, there will be more localized deformation in contact with the rake surface, that will create the formulation of built up edge. Now there is a third category, that is the discontinuous chip. Discontinuous means while there is a deformation in the primary shear zone, the deformation basically interrupt, serrated. You know that in case of brittle material, there will be minimal deformation. So that cases what happens, it will suddenly fracture. When this fracture occur in the primary shear zone, it will be in a smaller fragments form. So in case of discontinuous chip, basically there is no problem of chip disposal. It is smaller one, already it is a smaller one, so it will easily disposed. If brittle material is there, then you know that there will be always discontinuous chip will be formed. Even if you are using a ductile material and the condition is differing from continuous chip, that means here we have taken the continuous chip, the high rake angle. So if you are taking low rake angle, greater feed, then that will create the formation of the discontinuous chip. If you want to measure the chip thickness T2, then you can measure it by measuring the length and calculating the weight. If you have calculated the weight, you divide this rho WL, that means density, width of the chip and length of the chip, then you get the thickness of the chip. This is a practical way you can calculate. Now there is another term, that is the chip thickness ratio, or that is also called cutting ratio. This is the ratio of uncut thickness to the chip thickness. This T2 is generally more than 4 to 5 times of this T1 uncut thickness. Why? Because there is a plastic deformation going on, shearing process going on. So this T2 is more than 4 to 5 times. What happens if we take this T1, T2 at 5 times? So what happens? This R equal to 1 upon 5. So it will be 0.2, or if it is suppose that it is 1 upon 4.25. So this chip thickness ratio or cutting ratio, it is given always lower than 1. Now come to the next slide. So in this slides we analyze this this figure and generate a relationship between the shear angle, that this is the phi angle, chip thickness and further velocities. Now you see that this is the relative velocity, this is your workpiece, this one is the chip and this is the tool. As you know that the inclination of this rake surface normal to the finished surface, this angle is given here, that is the alpha angle, rake angle, and the shear angle is the inclination of the shear plane with the finished surface, finished plane. This is the phi shear angle, and you know this is the uncut thickness T1. What we do here now, for analysis purpose, draw a parallel line from this point S. This OS is the shear plane. From S, draw a parallel line to this finished surface, that means OM. So now this S, suppose here this is the point here, EST is parallel to the OM, that means this is the surface parallel to this surface. Now for analysis, draw a perpendicular from this S to this line, that means the contact line between the chip and tool. That means here it is creating a 90 degree. Suppose that this is a point OQ in triangle OQT, and this is the horizontal line, this is the vertical line, this is 90 degree. Now if this is alpha, then this angle is 90 minus alpha. So you can write here this is 90 minus alpha. Again in triangle TRS, as you know, this is again 90 degree. When this angle is 90 minus alpha, then this angle, the magnitude of this angle will be alpha. If this is the phi angle, shear angle, this line ST is parallel to OM, then this angle phi will be equal to this angle, that means the angle TSO. So this total angle is phi. So what will be this angle? Naturally it will be phi minus alpha. So this angle we know, this angle we know. So what we do now here, that in this two triangle, take this OS line, calculate the OS line from the same, once from this triangle and again from this triangle, and equate together, we get a relationship between the different terminology. That means here this you know that this is the T1. When you draw the perpendicular from S to this contact line between the chip and tool, this SR, that is the normal, that is the basically the chip thickness, that means this is the chip thickness T2. So from this triangle we get the relationship between T2 and this line. From this triangle we get the relationship between T1 and OS when we with the terms of phi, and here in the terms of phi minus alpha. So from triangle, let's take the triangle SMO. triangle SMO. As you know that angle SMO equal to equal to 90 degree. So from this triangle calculate the value of OS. So what will be the value? That in sine phi equal to T1 by OS. So that means OS equal to T1 by sine phi. So from this equation we get the OS equal to T1 upon sine phi. This equation is suppose 1. Now in the second triangle, that means triangle OSR. As we know that angle OSR equal to phi minus alpha. Now this OS, we get the relation between the OS and T2. So T2 is the baseline and this is the phi minus alpha. This angle is 90 degree, this angle is 90 degree. So here cos phi minus alpha equal to T2 upon OS. Then OS equal to T2 upon cos phi minus alpha. So now here you write here OS equal to T2 upon cos phi minus alpha. This is equation 2. Now equate both equation 1 and 2. We can say that T1 upon sine phi equal to T2 upon cos phi minus alpha. T1 upon T2, this equal to sine phi upon cos phi minus alpha, and we already know that this is the cutting ratio or chip thickness ratio. We will further simplify that R equal to sine phi upon cos phi minus alpha, cos phi cos alpha plus sine phi sine alpha. Okay, divide this numerator and denominator by the cos phi. When you divide by the cos phi, what happens? R equal to sine phi upon cos phi equal to tan phi. So write here R equal to tan phi upon, again when you divide here cos phi, the cos phi will be cancelled out. You get cos alpha and plus here sine phi upon cos phi, again tan phi sine alpha, tan phi sine alpha. Now further expand, tan phi equal to R cos alpha plus R tan phi sine alpha. Now write here R cos alpha plus R tan phi sine alpha. Now take this left side and take the common tan phi. When you take tan phi common, it will happen tan phi 1 minus R sine alpha equal to R cos alpha. Now from this equation we get the relationship between tan phi equal to r cos alpha upon 1 minus r sin alpha. So this is the equation that we finally get. Now you may remember this equation or you may remember this equation, both will be utilized for further calculation. Now you see here that in this slides, this is the relative velocity between the workpiece and the tool in the horizontal direction. So what we do that we draw here this horizontal direction. So now take this triangle, we have drawn this triangle, in this direction we have taken this V, and this is the shear plane, this is the shear plane. So in this plane there will be a velocity, that is the shear velocity, that is the Vs. So now in this figure you see that the inclination of this shear plane with the finished surface was phi, and in the direction of shear plane the velocity is the Vs, and Vs is known as shear velocity. So this one is the relative velocity between the work and tool, or you can say the cutting velocity. This is the shear velocity, and chip is flowing. You see that here, again come to these slides, the chip is flowing along this direction in the contact with this plane. That means if we take this normal, so at angle parallel, this parallel line, we draw a parallel line, that means at angle alpha here in this direction the chip is flowing, so that will be the chip velocity Vc. So now we have drawn this chip velocity. So we get the relationship between the three different velocity, which will be useful for further calculation in numerical problem. Now we know that this is along the rake surface, chip is flowing. So if this angle is alpha, then this angle will be 90 minus alpha. Now when this angle is phi, this angle is 90 minus alpha, this angle will become here 180 degree minus sum of these two angles, so 90 minus alpha plus phi. So what it become? It become 90 minus phi minus alpha. Now this Vc will be written in terms of V, Vs will be also written in terms of V. So the Vc divided by sine of the angle in front of this limb, the limb of this triangle. Now in front of this the angle is this one. So take this angle in terms of sine angle, Vc upon sine phi equal to V upon sine of this angle, and this will be sine 90 minus phi minus alpha. So we can say that V upon cos phi minus alpha. So Vc can be written equal to sine phi upon cos phi minus alpha into V. So this is one relationship, that is the relationship between the chip velocity with the cutting velocity. Now next we have to calculate the relationship between the Vs and V. So again same way you write Vs upon the angle in front of this limb. So Vs upon sine 90 minus alpha, right here sine 90 minus alpha equal to V upon again this sine 90 minus phi minus alpha. So we can write V upon cos phi minus alpha, cos phi minus alpha. So from this equation we get the Vs equal to sine 90 minus alpha means cos alpha. So cos alpha upon cos phi minus alpha into V. Now come to the next one. There is another relationship we have to find out, that is the how the shear strain can be calculated. Now this is the Pispanen model, card model. Here the material removal process, when we consider the material is transformed into the chip, it is broken into the successive number of cards one by another. This is the deformed delta y, deformed one, deformed thickness delta y. And what happens that, suppose that if you extend this line, what happens? Suppose this is the line. When chip moves from, suppose initially the tool was this way, then when it moves from here to here, the material removed and here that is transformed into the this material. Okay, so the position shifting from here to here. Okay, so from the figure you can observe that this is the normal direction, that is the material being deformed, and when we zoom out this one, when we zoom this one, that means the region of this can be drawn here. So along the shear plane, the shear is going to happen, that equal to delta S, and normal to this shear plane, the, or we can say that as we have drawn into the 2D dimension, the normal to this OP, that means delta S, the deformed thickness equal to delta Y. As you see that this line PQ is parallel to this line. Okay, so now in this equation the angle here phi shear angle, this angle will again will be phi shear angle, so it is drawn here shear angle. Further come to this point that you see that this angle is what angle? This angle is rake angle. So now here if you draw parallel line to this line, this angle is alpha rake angle. Now this is normal 90 degree. Let us take the triangle here RPQ, in triangle RPQ, as this angle is 90 degree, this is phi, so this angle will be 90 minus phi. Okay, 90 minus phi, and again come to here that this angle is 90 degree, this is alpha, this total angle will be here. Now we have to calculate further that it will be 180 minus alpha minus 90. So it can be written as 180 minus 90 minus alpha, that means this becomes 90 minus alpha. So this angle will be equal to, this total angle is 90 minus alpha, this angle is 90 minus phi, so this much will be 90 minus alpha minus 90 minus phi, that means plus phi. So it will be phi minus alpha. So this is already written, this angle is phi minus alpha, this is phi. So what we have to calculate is that what is the strain. Strain here we need to calculate. So let us calculate strain. Now strain equal to, that means in the shearing, the total shear is equal to delta S and the normal to this is delta Y. So we can write this strain equal to delta S upon delta Y. So come to here, delta S upon delta Y equal to, delta S you can break into two terms, PR plus RO. So this is PR plus RO divided by this delta Y, okay, and delta Y equal to QR. So now come to again, we can write here PR upon QR plus RO upon this QR. Now PR upon QR, that means delta Y, that equal to cot phi. So we can write here, this can be written as cot phi, and here we need to take this consideration of this angle phi minus alpha. So now in this case tan phi minus alpha equal to OR upon delta Y. So now this can be written as tan phi minus alpha. So this is the strain, shear strain, we can write here, this is the shear strain value. So this is the shear strain value, cot phi plus tan phi minus alpha. Now if you want to calculate the shear strain rate, now shear strain rate will be, suppose this process is happening in a interval of time of delta t, then we can write that the shear strain rate will be written as delta S upon delta Y into delta t. Now as delta S divided by delta t, what is the value? This can be taken as the shear velocity, that is the Vs value. So this can be written as Vs upon delta Y. Now Vs in terms of V we have already calculated. If suppose that you want to calculate Vs upon V equal to cos alpha upon cos phi minus alpha, so this can be written as 1 upon delta Y into cos phi upon cos phi minus alpha. So this is the Pispanen-Card model by which we are able to calculate the shear strain value, that is going to be cot phi plus tan phi minus alpha, and shear strain rate, that is 1 upon delta y into cos phi upon cos phi minus alpha. This is the important slides, and that will depict the role of friction between the chip and the tool, because we have already considered that the friction has a major importance in creating the built up edge, and how the friction is going to modify the machining process. The friction between the chip and tool can be reduced by the first one is the cutting fluid. When there is the cutting fluid, there will be always reduction in the friction between the two mating surfaces. So this is the first point, cutting fluid. Increasing the rake angle, that is the very important point here. Increased rake angle will reduce the friction, and that is the one reason that I have mentioned. In case of continuous chip, the rake angle was high, and in case of built up edge, the rake angle was low to medium. When the rake angle is lowered or minimum, then the friction will be increased, and when the friction will be increased, there will be more heat generation, more deformation at the interfaces, there will be more strain hardening at the interfaces, and built up edge will be formed. Increased cutting speed, when we increase the cutting speed, then again the friction reduces. If you are using a low friction workpiece or tool material or both, then because of coefficient of friction is lower, the friction will be lowered. Now improve tool finish. If you are finishing the tool, it means there is a lower roughness at the surface, more sharper of the cutting edge, then again the friction will be minimum. So these are certain points which will reduce the friction. Now the tool face friction is decreased. When the tool friction is decreased, there is a corresponding increase in the shear angle. This is the points. There is the corresponding increase in the shear angle. And what happens when there is an increase in the shear angle? Let's start here. If suppose that this is the shear angle phi 1, when the shear angle is increased to phi 2, the chip thickness, you can observe that reduced. So increasing the shear angle, there is a lower shear zone and the correspondingly thickness, as you see here, that if we come to the earlier slides, you see that from this phi angle, when this is the angle, the correspondingly this is the shear plane, and correspondingly when we have taken this, what is this length? This is the chip thickness equal to OS cos phi minus alpha. OS cos phi minus alpha. Now if we can increase this, suppose that shear angle, and it become this much, now you will have to take this normal at this point. So now you see that this thickness of the chip now that is formulated is going to decrease now. So that means increasing the shear angle. When we shear angle, you are going to increase the plane that is generated, the deformation zone, that we can say in a simple terms, becomes smaller, and that is why the formulated chip thickness will be lower. Higher the shear angle, lesser will be the created shear plane, and so if the lesser is the created shear zone, lesser will be thickness, and that is why what happens, low cutting forces will be required to generate these surfaces and lower power consumption. So the higher rake angle reduces the friction. So we can say that increasing the rake angle basically increases the shear angle, and when the shear angle is increases, there is a easier cutting operation going on. Why shear force is going to decrease? Because the area is now going to decrease with the increase in the shear angle. So here in this case of shear plane S2, there will be lower shear forces required than comparison to the this plane corresponding to the shear plane S1. Now in the next lecture we will analyze the different forces, cutting forces, thrust forces, shear forces, frictional forces that comes into the two-dimensional machining operations. We will correlate the relationship between the forces. If you feel this content really useful to you, please subscribe my YouTube channel as given in the link. So thanks a lot. See you again.